Hi, I'm Pastor Mira Hewlett, and this is Sermon in 3 Minutes. This past Sunday, we looked at the scripture from John chapter 20, where the disciples on Easter evening had gathered in the upper room, in a locked room, we're told, because they still feared the Jews and that the Jews had done something with Jesus' body. I'm sure they took time rehashing what had happened on that Easter when Mary went to the tomb, the stone was rolled away, Jesus and his body was missing. Peter, the other disciple, ran. They also saw that the tomb was empty and just linen wrappings were laying there. Mary meets the gardener, and still, even that evening, we're told the disciples weren't exactly sure what had happened. Well, it's as they were talking about this that Jesus appears before them and says, "Peace be with you." This probably reminded the disciples back of the last time when Jesus, in his farewell discourse, John chapter 14, was talking to them and giving them kind of his last lessons. Well, peace, he wanted to remind them that it wasn't just for times of funerals, for last days, which is how even today we remember it with funeral services. But Jesus wanted them to know that his peace, that God's peace, would be with them each and every day, no matter what happened, no matter where they were going. Well, it was after that, after Jesus then leaves them again, and the disciples are together talking about it, Thomas learns about Jesus' reappearing, and Thomas doesn't believe it was Jesus. Just like the other disciples, now Thomas was like, not so sure. Well, later in the week, we're told that Jesus then appears to Thomas and the disciples while they're talking. But this time, Thomas says, I need proof. I need to see Jesus' hands. I need to see his side. Jesus offers him to do just that. And, we talked a little bit this past Sunday about how we are like Thomas, how we need to see and hear and be reminded of where God is at work. I shared a story from our capital campaign. A young family in our congregation, they had made their commitment, but then as they were praying and thinking about it, they decided that God really wanted them to forego the expensive international trip that they've been planning for several years and give that money to the capital campaign as we build a new church. Well, the family did that on faith. They sent an email, and literally that evening, her parents said to them, "Oh, that trip you've been planning on? We decided to give that to you as a gift." This family now can only talk about it as one of their God experiences where God showed up unexpectedly as soon as they were able to trust and to listen to God's voice. For so many of us, and for us as a church, that's what this time after Easter, Jesus' call for us to do is all about. It's to go and tell our experiences with God, that we can inspire our friends, our family, and even our community about here is where God is at working in our midst. And if you're open to it, God will work in their midst and in their lives as well. That's part of the lessons that come out of Easter. Jesus is reappearing, and as Jesus promises, he goes back to live with the Father. May you have a great Easter season.